every new and different experience in life causes a feeling of discomfort. If you are comfortable, if there is no feeling of being challenged, if there is no anxiety, if there is no need to seek for more, then your mind is stuck and your spirit has assumed a regressive mode. Many of us are resistant to change because the first sign of change is a discomfort. And discomfort is considered to be negative, undesirable, oh such a bother. But it is those who embrace discomfort, both in the physical and the spiritual realm, that experience success. Today, we take you down Discomfort Avenue once more. Welcome to part 2 in our spirituality session series entitled Evolution and Your Spirituality. We teach what we have learned and we are practicing. We teach what heightens your spiritual vibration. In this spirituality session, we seek to focus our attention on the evolutionary experience of the individual. We refer to the individual as true self or as a spirit being. And a spirit being is an unseen but conscious unit of energy. For cosmic spirituality, consciousness suggests that the being exists as in living, and so consciousness for us goes beyond being aware. A spirit being or conscious unit of energy has life, along with the potential or ability to think, reflect, consider, and reason. It is possible for a spirit being to exist without knowledge of its existence. Please bear that in mind. But the spirit being is still considered a unit of conscious energy because there is life and there is residing in that unit of consciousness the potential to think, reflect, consider, and reason. It is important that you get the distinction between the day-to-day usage of this word, conscious or consciousness, and the cosmic spirituality usage of the word. The conscious unit of energy is still considered consciousness, even when it is unaware of its existence. It is unaware of its existence, but it is still alive, still has the potential to become aware, and still has the potential to think, reflect, consider, and reason. The true self is a conscious unit of energy that has 1. The divine nature as a part of its constituents, and that nature comes through the cosmological internal logic, which give rise to law and principles. It also have life as the life-giving force. And this life sometimes is referred to as forethought or just power. So in some writings, you may see them referring to this particular constituent or composite as forethought, and in others, it may just be referred to as power. In some, it is referred to as life. It's in all cases, it's referring to the life-giving force that exists within the consciousness as life, separate and apart from the divine nature that refers to the cosmological internal logic within the conscious unit that give rise to law and principle. Now, within this unit, we also have three other mechanisms which allows for reflection, consideration, and reason. So when you put it all together, we have 5 components. You have the divine nature, which give rise to law and principles. You have life, which is also known as forethought or power. And you also have reflection, consideration, and reason. The true self is intangible and it cannot be seen with the physical eye. The true self traverses many physical forms before arriving at the upright form we refer to as the individual, whether this individual is a man or a woman. Cosmic spirituality does not refer to the physical form as human. The physical form refers to the body and its vitality. And when we speak of vitality, where the body is concerned, we are talking about the potential that resides in this body for it to become active. The physical form is a focal point and dwelling of the human. We say a focal point because each individual is an energy field. A field is a network that connects objects or entities with each other. Many components, as you have seen before, we actually have 5, come together to form human. And we're looking back at these components for a short while, just to make sure you get them and you keep them in your mind. There is the divine nature, which we refer to as the cosmological internal logic. This gives rise to knowledge or thought. It gives rise to principles, and it gives rise to law. Of course, law and principle and knowledge all could be just called thought. Then again, there is life, which some call forethought, because we have life before thought, and this entity may be referred to as the powerhouse of spirit. Then there are the 3 mechanisms responsible for reflection, consideration, and reason. All these components are connected in a web-like manner. But while the focal point of the individual resides in the body, the consciousness is a field or a web that extends beyond the body, looking more like a halo or an umbra around the individual. And this halo or umbra overlaps other units of consciousness and is connected to other units of consciousness. As the individual evolves, not only is there a change in the energy vibration of the unit of consciousness or the individual, but this field expands itself as well. An individual who lives a highly conscious life is able to tell when there is another individual within their vicinity, because this overlapping of the consciousness, or the umbra, the overlapping of the field, and the connection allows them to recognize the presence. Very often we are able to tell when someone is thinking about us as well. And for the very conscious, we are able to even feel the emotions behind the thoughts. And all of this happens because we are extended as a field beyond our focal point, and we are overlapping with others and sensing their vibration. So there is no break in vibration of thought when people are thinking about us, because there's a ripple effect from one through to the other that's overlapping. Not only are we connected to each other, we are also connected to the wider sea of consciousness. Now, there's a common misunderstanding among some that the consciousness is formed by the functioning of the mental faculty. Cosmic spirituality has no such belief. We know that the physical is seen, and that all that is seen comes forth from what is not seen. It is not the seen that gives rise to the unseen. It is the unseen that gives rise to the seen. The unseen does not dissipate and become seen. The seen return to the unseen. We can take this and look at some proof in regards to the spirit being separate, a separate entity from the body. There are documentations of individuals who have been in situations that require resuscitation of the body. And while resuscitation is being undertaken, this unit of consciousness or human is outside of the body viewing the resuscitation event. And when the spirit is reconnected to the body, the individual is able to relate the many happenings that took place in the resuscitation room. Another proof is in regards to people like myself who have had out-of-body travels. And some of us have had more than one out-of-body travel because we go about ministering to others. The unit of consciousness is not formed by the functioning of the mental faculty of the physical. And the unit of consciousness is separate and apart from the physical. Now, let us pause to reiterate that human, by definition, is a conscious unit of energy. Human is not the physical form. The physical form, in and of itself, is not an awareness. The physical form, in the absence of the spirit, is incapable of awareness. The physical form allows us a sense of separateness. And this feeling of separateness is important for two reasons. Firstly, young spirit beings have the tendency for disorientation or suffer loss if they have to perceive the vastness of the cosmos. The physical body, along with race, culture, different beliefs, etc., makes the world of a young spirit being finite and allows it to grow and develop in a environment that it feels safe in, because it is finite. But there is one more thing that the body does for us. It allows us to have objective experience. Evolution is dependent on objectivity and subjectivity. It is okay to think what you are feeling is the only truth that exists. But it is another thing to detach yourself from your feeling, belief system, and socialization and objectively analyze your world. They are two separate things. And you cannot undertake objective analysis without being separate from whatever you are viewing. So the body allows us that sort of objective reasoning. And objective reasoning allows us to put our feelings in perspective while taking into consideration the wider world. So let us go back to the physical form. The awareness the physical form experiences is conferred on it by the presence of the spirit within it. And I will repeat. The awareness the physical form experiences is conferred on it by the presence of the spirit within it. While the physical form is endowed with vitality, and again we said vitality refers to the potential to become active, it is the spirit, the true self, or the spirit being, the higher mind, that allows the physical form to realize the activity and to experience a certain level of awareness as well. So without the spirit, although there is this potential to be active in the body cannot be active. It's the spirit that allows the body to realize its potential where activity is concerned. So while the spirit is dependent on the physical form to experience objective analysis, which is important for our spiritual evolution, the physical form pulls the life-giving energy it needs and the awareness it has from the spirit. The physical form does decay in the absence of the true self or the unit of consciousness, and it returns to its simplest form of matter, which can be made available to re-enter the creative cycle of combination. The unit of consciousness, or the spirit being, on the other hand, continues to exist without the physical body. But in the absence of objective experience, evolution is extremely slow, because all that is left is subjectivity. So, for cosmic spirituality, human is that unit of conscious energy that has the ability to house or possess thought, consider, reflect, and reason, and make thoughts a reality. The unit of conscious energy also has life and has within it thought as law and principles and knowledge. Now, with our definition of what is human, we have come to realize that there are other forms other than the upright form that we refer to as man or woman. There are other forms in which the human, or this unit of consciousness, may be recognized or identified. The physical form to which the spirit being is aligned is one that allows for a certain degree of expansion or evolution of the consciousness. When that degree of evolution that the physical form is able to support has been reached, the spirit being must assume a new or different form that is able to allow it to further its evolutionary experience. In the revelation of the eternal realm, it was pointed out that certain physical defects of the body can impede the evolution of the consciousness. Some of the defects that the body or physical form experience may be due to the lack of external stimulation in the early stage of development. But whatever the cause of the defect, it is proven that certain defects of the physical form does affect or impede spiritual growth. And we know this, for one example, individuals who are lacking in love may demonstrate deficiency in certain physical development in the brain. So as the consciousness progresses, the physical form progresses as well. When the consciousness regresses, the physical form regresses as well. And if the consciousness continues to regress, that point will be reached where there is a need for a change of the physical form to one that can accommodate the lower state of consciousness. But the same is true for the consciousness and its advancement. When the consciousness arrives at the pinnacle of the religious self-consciousness, for example, as it enters the Christ or cosmic state, the need for a new physical form arises. And so all teachers of the ascension speaks of a new body. Now, this is where we stop today's spirituality session. And in part 4, we will be looking at another aspect of the individual. That aspect we call the base soul or the ego. We will look at that, and then we'll be able to put everything together and get to the point of how, as an individual, we evolve. May you have a great week, and may you become full.